Hey, it's October the 6th, 2005, and we are here at the 2:30 session, and our guest informants are Mr. and Mrs. Floyd Oster. This is Floyd and Betty, and Myra Krieger, all from the Weld County area. And then we have our student group, which begins with
Adriana Casillas, and I am actually from Weld County. I'm from Greeley, Colorado, and I'm excited to do this today. And my first question.
Oh, sorry, we have to introduce everybody else as well.
And then we ask our
Yeah,
questions.
then we'll start on our questions, yes.
Hi, I'm Sienna Crossland, and I was actually born in Aurora, Colorado.
Very good.
I'm Matt Mosher, and I'm from Boulder, Colorado.
Very good.
I'm Adam Ruth, and I was from Colorado Springs, Colorado.
I'm Bianca Garcia, and I'm from Phoenix, Arizona.
Very good. Welcome all. All right.
All right. Well, my first question is, this one stuck out to me.
And do you all please speak up?
Okay. Was there a chore you really hated doing as a child?
And why don't you address one person or another? Yeah, that'll make it easier for them.
Okay.
This is Myra and Betty and Floyd.
Myra.
I'll tell you, I'm hard of hearing, and Betty
Yeah.
has to be my ears.
What chore did you least like, right? What chore didn't you want to do?
Mostly carrying water when we were growing up. See, we had no running water, and then we all had coal rangers, and on the inside of ours was a tank, and that was our what we filled that, and that was our hot water. You know, and from the heat of the stove all day long like that. And we never liked that, you know, to carry water. And we had to pump our own at the wet well, you know, and just, it was hard.
How far did you carry?
Oh, we had, well, we called it a pump house. It was real close to the main house. But it still was a job. And then on Sunday late afternoons, then Mom would get out the big old wash tub, and then the wash machine, and then a boiler on the stove in the kitchen. And then we had to fill all of that, and you carried water, and you carried water, and Saturday night, and all the bath water.
That must have been rough. So I guess my question is next. I'm Sienna, and I would like to ask Floyd a question that's actually not on any of this. We're all college students, and times have changed. And what do you think about the trend in piercings? I have a nose ring, and I've been asking some people what they've thought about it, and I'm getting mixed answers. So I want to know, it wasn't popular in your guys' childhood, but what do you think about it now? And be honest.
It's up to the individual as far as I'm concerned, but we just used it on pigs.
Right, so it doesn't bother you, or do you think it's weird?
It's weird.
Does anybody else have any thoughts on that? On tattoos and piercings that kids have today?
Just so you don't have too many, get infection, and if you're happy with it, well.
That's definitely a more upbeat view than I've got. That's good.
Matt, I have a follow-up question. Actually, mine was kind of related to hers. It's just, what do you think of the fashions that like kids are wearing today, like mainly girls and guys and stuff? I guess for Floyd.
Well, they've got too many half-price clothes, and that's what the girls wear. Just half what they're
They need a little length to them.
Yeah, I agree. So I was just wondering how you all felt about that, and I guess.
Because you know, in our day, well, my grandmother's day, they wore long dresses even in the fields to work.
Yeah.
That's what we had to, you know.
My dad used to tell me when he was growing up, his mom always wore a dress and never wore slacks or pants or anything. And
Pants, well,
Yeah.
we just never knew that.
yeah, so it's a lot different than it is today. So.
My mother climbed Long's Peak in one of those long dresses and high top shoes.
Oh,
That's what we had.
that's an adventure. That's tough right there.
Long dress.
Can we add to that or ask?
By all means, yes, please go right ahead. Jump
So-
right in.
Do you think that's affected culture from the way people act? Maybe crime, maybe music videos and things like that? Do you feel like that's affected the way that people live?
It's a different question. I don't like the way the TV puts too much violence today, and the young people are just drinking. I think there's just too much of that. We never saw any of that. Of course, we didn't have TVs.
Right. So being more,
No discipline with young people, young kids.
with video games and with TV, it's more available, more accessible. And in your day, people probably weren't as maybe violent, or were they? Or was it just not made aware because the media was not around as far as TV? Or
In my home, my dad would not stand any arguments or fighting, sit down and talk about it. Because his father was an alcoholic. He never drank, never smoked. And he said that's not necessary in life. You can learn a different way to get along with people. Control yourself. That was his sermon.
That's a great outlook.
And our pretty faces.
All right, I'm Adam, and I had the first general question to throw out there. Just wanted to know who is a Broncos fan. No. Who's your favorite football team then?
I like to watch them all and just see how professionals make mistakes.
All right, fair enough.
Well, Floyd is just learning sports.
I know.
He never had time on the farm or in a way to have, to see games.
Okay.
Took him to his grandson's football game and
That's
sat and explained all the plays.
my kids, well, we had 5 of them in school, and I never got to go to their games or anything. I'll tell you, was Kersey School, and the principal had a daughter the same age as our youngest daughter, and I went to a PTA meeting, and he got down there and come in room and give a speech about how scientists did this and that and everything so much today. And he said that scientists are so accurate that they had 2 parallel lines out so far they joined. And everybody sat there, and I was dumb enough to say, hey, you gotta get that word parallel out of there somewhere. And the guy sat next to me, he says, do you know who you're talking to? I said, no, I don't. But I says, you still gotta get the word parallel out of there, or those lines won't join. No, I didn't get to go to the school.
Are you a Bronco fan?
But I don't watch TV, that's why.
Fair enough.
Okay, I'm Bianca, and I want to know how long you two have been married.
About 7 years.
This is our second marriages. We had 50 with both of our other partners.
And I had to marry her because her name was the same as mine.
That's easy.
Yeah, that's do you remember your family discussing world events and politics? Do you remember conversations you've had with your families growing up, or at reunions, or things?
Never had reunions. I don't remember talking, hearing, once in a while Dad would talk about Roosevelt. But,
And what would you talk about when we talked about Roosevelt. Do you remember?
The good he did for the country, I thought he did a lot of good. And they did too. He started these camps for these young guys to build things, you know, and I thought it was all right.
And before Roosevelt got in, Hoover is the only president so far that's never drawed no wages for his service as long as he was president.
Did you talk politics?
In
The parents,
a lot of the-
I mean, you know,
programs that Hoover tried to get through never went through, and Roosevelt was able to get them through.
Maybe she can answer your question.
my dad had a hatred for one of them, and I just can't remember his name, but he blamed on, that he hurt the farmers so badly. And he just thought he was just, you know, down on us all the time and just ruining everything. But that would have really been a long time ago before any of these names, you know, the Roosevelts and all that. It was way before that. And he was disliked by everyone, it seemed like. And it's all right.
So I guess building off that, I'm curious, I'm a poli-sci major, and I was curious, since we're on the subject of presidents, what do you think about President Bush right now, compared to the way presidents ran the country then?
He has his plate full. He has a big job right now to do. And how would we react to some of the things that he has to decide? He's trying his best, what he can get done. Make mistakes, we all make mistakes. But you have to go on.
Well, and I'll ask the question.
Okay.
What do you think? If he wouldn't be over there fighting and having that bunch come over here, it'd be worse than New Orleans.
Yeah. Actually, I tend to agree with both of you, so, but this is your interview. Maybe somebody will interview me someday. So, and do you have any thoughts on President Bush?
Yes, he is getting blamed for things that the Pentagon, the United Nations, everybody's dictating to him. But they never look at that. There's things he can't do, his hands are tied. And that's why I say he's getting blamed for so many things that are not his responsibility. So,
I think he has a beautiful, sweet wife.
He sure does.
I think I'm gonna shift gears. Growing up on a farm, like back then, as compared to today, how do you think the technology has changed to make things easier? Or what do you think of all that, the technology of all of it?
Well, it's all machinery and big equipment
Mm-hmm.
and no hired help. And it's,
Do you think farmers have it easy these days?
Easier than he did.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, as comparison, with all the machinery and mass producing and everything. Alright.
it's one of the ruinations of our country for labor. Out where we live was 16 miles out of Greeley. And years ago, you could go into town and see 300 and 400 up to 600 people out in the fields working.
Wow.
Onions and different crops. All the 5-acre tracts was vegetables and making people work. Now you can go out and come in the same route and see nothing but a few horses in the pasture and
Jeez.
nothing.
So do you think that the machines are putting people out of jobs? Alright.
And if the farmer couldn't go if he had to hire the help to do it nowadays.
There's no money for that.
Yeah.
It's,
So do you feel the same about outsourcing to other countries then for our crops and our goods and,
Gonna be doing more of that because they're taking all the farmland, putting into houses. You're not gonna be farming much, you're gonna have to import.
How does the house taste when you come to
Yeah.
And they're taking the water
Water rights are
What's-
going to the cities.
to the cities, and it's a sad situation. People just,
Okay. And if you don't mind, I'd like to inquire, did you lose your finger on the farm?
you know what?
Did you lose your finger on the farm?
No.
Uh,
I was working at a hay mill, dehydrator, and was in the shop. It was in the wintertime, and was making elevators. We made our own machinery for everything, and I was grinding the slag off the side of the big slats for elevators, and it grabbed my, it was a big Emery wheel, 7-horse, and it just grabbed the iron and went under and it chopped my finger off, and I didn't even know it. And got the iron out and went to grinding again, and pretty soon I felt something hitting my foot, flop, flop, and I looked down and there's a big old puddle of blood. I turned around and I looked, and that finger was saying, whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah,
Were injuries that common back when it was manual labor?
no.
No.
Okay, my question is, have you guys always lived in Colorado? Like, have you ever traveled or?
Live in the same house my folks built in 1916.
Wow.
We're living in the same house.
Yeah.
We have a floor furnace. You know what a floor furnace is?
Does it heat the floor?
Well, all the heat comes up, you know, out into the rooms. He saw it the other night. Yeah. We have a floor furnace that generationally with the house.
and does that take, well, on here?
Propane.
Propane? Okay,
We're all propane out
wow.
there. Tractors, the house, everything's propane.
Is that
Stove.
expensive?
Well, we have a 1,200-gallon tank that we fill up, and right now, it's around $1,200, but that would go until March or April.
Oh, wow.
Not bad.
I'm interested in education, so I was wondering how many years of education you have if you complete high school, college, or
I barely made it through the 8th grade.
I went through high school.
It's all with me.
do you remember your your school, or do you remember your high schools, and if so, were you involved in any clubs or organizations, and what were those?
Our little old school, well, it was a mile and a half from home. My mother named the schoolhouse after it was built.
What was the name of it?
Skyview.
Oh, okay.
And one teacher in one room and a furnace. Keep us warm. We didn't have the pot-belly stoves.
I started out in a rural school, one room, big pot-bellied stove in the middle, and we would ride the horses and take our lunch with us. If we had soup pail, set it on the stove by the time dinner come, lunchtime. People say lunchtime. It was warm, ready to eat. Then we moved to Wiggins, and then had good school there. Good teachers. I remember my Spanish teacher, he was a Spanish man. We had a great time.
What was the question? I think I heard part of it.
How much education?
Oh, well, just
You went to
12th
high
grade,
school, and
yeah.
what you remember about anything?
Oh, in the evening, oh, what did you?
What do you remember about your high school experience?
Do you remember anything about your high school?
Yes. talk about a strict dress code. I went to school in anklets and I got called to the principal's office. And then your skirts had to be just so way down by the calf of your leg. And if you get called in the office right now if you didn't.
Wow.
They were real strict about that. And otherwise, I enjoyed the music part because I took most of the music classes. What was interesting, the one teacher came from Germany, and then she had so much to tell us about the way of life there, you know. And she told us people are always so alarmed because you always think of wine and beer when you think of the Germans. She said, we had no pure water. We had to, that was it. And they didn't drink it either, you know, to get drunk. It was to, you know, satisfy their thirst and different things like that. I enjoyed my high school days.
My mother was a school teacher,
Oh,
and in the German community, is a dress code that kids come to school and they are sewed up for the winter. They had their underwear and they had sewed on, and they wore all winter long.
So it didn't come off?
Huh?
You could take it off though, right?
Well, they could, but it was just their custom.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so during the Depression, do you guys remember Rockefeller? John Rockefeller? Rich man. Do you?
Real vague. Real vague. Do you remember Rockefeller?
Just the name,
Yeah.
we.
Just the name. I was at Rockefeller Center in New York, the old
Right.
center.
So, having to do with money, nowadays movie stars and, you know, sports players are making millions of dollars a year. Some movie stars are making like, I think it's like 30 million a film. What do you think about that?
Well, if they'd take care of it. When they die, some of them have nothing. And they do a lot of good, but it's very expensive.
Do you
Well,
think,
we know money.
do you think it's worth it to pay one person 30 million for making a movie?
Ball players and football players is that.
Yeah.
It's way out.
We wouldn't know what a million is, would we?
me neither.
I'm not getting it this way.
It's very expensive.
Do you go to the movies at all? No? Yeah, they're not worth it these days.
Yeah. We're married 7 years and we never did have a date.
Maybe you should go on one.
Yeah. Didn't get a honeymoon either.
Did too. Took her to Nebraska to the.
Minden, Nebraska. Overnight. And there we saw all the old stuff, you know.
No, to clarify that, my first wife and I, we used to travel all the time. And we come back to the church, and her husband was sitting in the pew where we always sat. I walked in and sat down beside her, and I says, I guess you know you're sitting in our seats. Never seen them before. And she says, well, we can move. I said, no, I'll let you get by with it this time. And she stuck her hand over and she says, by the way, I'm Betty Oster. I says, well, by the way, I'm Floyd Oster. And after her husband passed away, about 3 years later, my wife passed away. And so we got married.
We just-
That's crazy.
But we're
Everybody in
older
the,
people, we don't need all that excitement.
everybody in our wedding was, outside the pastor was an Oster.
My kids, his uncles.
Makes it easy to remember.
Yeah.
I guess my question is, Myra said something about being interested in the German culture when she had experienced it in school. What do you think about the way that that's changed with the way people communicate around the world nowadays? With cultures, cultural interaction and things?
And just the dress code you meant, or other,
Well, no, like
You'll
between,
have, can you repeat that for her, because it's where she
Yeah,
can
do
hear
you,
you?
well,
well, I was just saying, like, how do you think that technology nowadays has changed so people communicate around the world and the world is becoming one culture and everything's sort of interacting?
oh, it's a lot of different, I mean, you know right away what's happening
Yeah.
worldwide, you know, and it's really a wonderful thing, I think. You know, you just kind of look toward the future and figure out too, you know, it helps you control what you spend your money on and therefore like that.
Interesting.
Mhm. And then with the economy and everything, it's really vital anymore.
Pretty near everywhere you go, it's English language is
Yeah.
out in front.
Well, people, they're starting, in foreign countries, they're starting to take it as a requirement in schools, so
Mhm.
it's all starting to shift together.
Okay. I had a question. When you were growing up, did you have any friends or relatives or family members that went off to the war? Any of the wars?
I had 3 brothers in service,
Okay.
and he had 4 brothers in service.
Did that affect the family farm or anything?
Oh my, we were in town at that time, in Wiggins itself. My dad ran the blacksmith shop to keep the farmers running, you know, because you couldn't buy anything, you bring your broken material in and then you had to fix it. Yeah, and I worked in the shop. My brothers were gone,
Okay.
and I don't know how his folks did with all of them gone.
Just
Got along,
cut down on farming.
did less